How's it going, everyone? This is Maximilian, and welcome back to the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 changelog, where we look at the previous cast of characters and see what changes have occurred in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We're covering about 5 characters per episode, and we're getting through the Marvel side of the cast. So let's take a look at the first character, Super Skrull. So I think Skrull players are going to feel right at home with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The character feels rather intact, and most of the stuff you did in the first game you should be able to do here. The Stone Dunk hitbox has been increased, and you might be able to see the differences from the video here. Also, Orbital Grudge floats higher, and the Super Armor activates faster, and I think the Super Armor also applies to assists. Meteor Smash can now be activated in the air, and this can be really good for some mix-up situations. If you want to throw this into the middle of a combo, it can be tricky to block on the other side. And Death Penalty will automatically track and bring you right over the opponent. Next up on the change list is Sentinel. And Sentinel is another character that has not changed too much. His health got a really minor adjustment, and he's down to 900,000 now. But besides from that, one of the biggest things you're going to be noticing is that after Rocket Punch, the untechable time has been decreased, which will not allow you to go into the Hyper Sodium Force. If anything, going into the more damaging Plasma Storm is the preferred way to go now. But besides from that, his special launcher properties went from Hyper Armor to Super Armor, and the opponent's the pushback time from blocking assist from behind has been reversed, and you can see a couple of examples here. But the big one is that Sentinel still feels intact. A lot of his air combos and a lot of his overall mobility has not changed, and it seems like his overall flight is also a little bit faster as well. Next up is Spider-Man, and this guy got a ton of changes. So first up, the speed of the web glide has been increased, and this is good because this was Spider-Man's primary method of getting around in the sky. What's also interesting is that web glide can OTG, and I've also tried to do this, hit web glide OTG into maximum spider, but the timing is very sensitive, but it does work. Web swing, spider sting, and web ball can now all be cancelled into web glide. So this offers some pretty unique situations where Spider-Man can follow his attacks or follow his projectiles and make for some pretty tricky mix-ups in the corner or with assists. You can now also activate the air web swing from a ground web swing. So if you did a web swing from a ground combo, you can actually get 2 web swings into a single combo. The web throw is different now. It's now subject to the damage scaling of other moves. So if you remember the loops that he would have with Dr. Doom, they don't do nearly as much damage as they would in the first game. The total frames for Crawler Assault have been decreased, and if you notice here, Crawler Assault at the end causes an untechable knockdown now, and if you go into the OTG Web Glide, you can actually quickly cancel it into the Maximum Spider, offering for more damage, so this stuff is pretty cool. The ultimate web throw attack direction was also changed to the side, and hopefully you'll be able to see this difference here as an example. Next up is a character that is surprisingly very powerful in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and it's Storm. I'm one to think that Storm was an underappreciated character, and the people that used her were very good with her in the vanilla version of the game. Storm got outclassed by Magneto because Magneto did a lot of stuff she could, but better. But in this one, Storm seems surprisingly intact, and not much has changed about the character. If anything, I'd argue that her overall mobility in the air and her air dashes have actually increased in speed. It's kind of surprising as well that a lot of her ground jump loops and most of her combos are identical in Ultimate, so Storm users are going to feel very good in this game. The biggest difference, and one of the few changes she had, is that she got a new move called Fair Wind and Foul Wind, and these moves are kind of like Magneto's, where they can push the opponent from one side of the screen or pull them in. It's hard to see how you can integrate this into a game plan if you're trying to play keep away or get them closer, but you can hyper cancel them, so that's pretty good. Next up is X-23, and X-23 is also a character I thought was rather underappreciated in vanilla because she became outclassed by the easier to use Wolverine, but she seems to be also very good in Ultimate. Now her mid-air special attacks can be cancelled into the Talon attack, so you see a couple of examples here. It actually gives her more damaging opportunities in the air and air chains to just get more damage out of your combo. The Crescent Scythe also floats a little bit higher now, and the untechable time for opponents after a Crescent Scythe has been decreased if they're hit by it. So this move got a little bit nerfed, and it's actually a little bit better at the same time. The Rage Trigger now causes the opponent to fly further to the side of the screen, and you can see an example here. But overall, X-23 feels really good. Nothing seems to have severely changed about the character that will change the way players used her in the original, and I think with Wolverine's nerfs, she might be very good in this one. And that's going to just about do it for the 5 Marvel characters in this episode. Stay tuned, because in the next episode we'll be covering the remaining Marvel characters, and then after that, moving into the Capcom side of the cast. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.